As always, it is my pleasure that you join me for today's podcast of Second Chance Coaching. My name is Dr. Richard Lewis. If you'd be so kind as to leave me a rating and your feedback, I would very much appreciate it, and it will help others like you to optimally discover this podcast wherever you listen to this and your other favorite podcast. As you know, at Second Chance Coaching, we focus on seeing everyday life through the eyes of the returning citizen and highlighting the resiliency of the human spirit. I would love to work with you one-on-one, whether you're a returning citizen or coaching client seeking your second chance, or you're a representative of a business, college, or university seeking to integrate and support returning citizens in your respective organizational and learning environments. Please feel free to contact me via email at richard@secondchancecoaching.com or via Instagram at the Dr. Richard Lewis. Welcome again to another edition of Second Chance Coaching. As always, it is my pleasure to join you on another week of your reentry journey from whichever corner of the world you're listening from. We always remain humbled and excited that you decided to spend part of your week with us. I hope you're doing well this past week. This past week has indeed been a busy one. I'm still finding my legs in being faculty senate president, but that's going well. My mid-semester classes, as we call it, session 3 here, it starts later in January and ends before the traditional semester ends, are just getting started. So I'm getting used to my new schedule, getting used to my new students. And this week, it appears at our college that we will actually finally select our new president, as we have college-wide forums going on today on Wednesday, January 29th. And we have them also going on tomorrow. And then Friday would be our Board of Trustees meeting where I believe the president will be selected. And yours truly will be honored, and I am honored to be representing our faculty in asking both of the finalists what would be their vision of the college in the short-term and long-term future. Right now, it's quiet on the condo front as it pertains to our building. We are just finalizing paperwork for the closing of our loan. I would be, so there's not much going on there, but I would be remiss if I did not give a shout out to the resident player haters. And that's in all academic, professional, personal, not because, their envy deserves attention or my attention, but because their player hating has become a laughable and predictable sideshow. But even in that predictability, one can still easily shake their head in disbelief over them. But, it's all good. I have more things to do and to share with you, and what they do doesn't really matter. But this past Monday, when I was getting ready to teach class, one of my former students was walking in the hallway and ran in to say hello and catching up on how he was doing. And of course, even though I say the player haters don't really have a place in your mind, sometimes, the negativity creeps up in there. And when he passed by, that was what was on my mind at that moment. But when I saw him, I was happy to see him. He shared with me all of his academic accomplishments since he took my class and how he has been doing to date, and now that he's in graduate school, doing really well for himself. And then, he shared with me that taking my class truly impacted him, as he appreciated how I made him get out of his comfort zone, and the practice of public speaking has been going really well for him. That kind of interaction really made my day, especially at that moment when I'm thinking about the player haters, even though, like I said, they're not important. And there are some students, you go through a process where there's students who don't appreciate you, or at least they don't show their appreciation. The negative thoughts, like I said, could get in your head. And that encouragement really came right on time. It was almost like the God or the universe just knew I needed that encouragement at that very moment. This week, I wanted to share with you an occurrence that happened to me on my reentry journey. I always share with my second chance students that attacking your reentry journey with hustle, consistency, determination, and faith will produce results greater than you could imagine. And it has happened to me, humbly, a number of times on my reentry journey. And this past week, I got the pleasure of receiving 2 very solid job offers. Now, these job offers are not going to get in the way of me still teaching. I'm still a teacher at heart. So these are job offers that I could do along with my teaching. Now, one job offer was a promotion at the airport, I work at now in addition to teaching. And the other, while unofficial, not an official job offer, but while unofficial, is in the criminal justice reentry space. I say unofficial because I had not received an official offer at the time of this recording, but the person who referred me indicated it was pretty much solid. I would get an offer. He just wasn't sure about what the compensation would be based on the qualifications on the job, and I was curious to know what the compensation was, but apparently, throughout the time, no one really told me what it was, and I understood that. So I just kind of laid back and said, okay, when the time comes, I'll find out. But either way, both opportunities present a better work schedule and a much more friendlier dynamic and complement to my teaching schedule. And even more importantly, it certainly will help my work-life balance a whole lot more. But the prospect of both offers, like I said, one official, one unofficial, is very exciting. I cannot take both. The way the work hours are for both, I can't take both. But now I'm prospectively, faced with which one do I choose, and which one do I choose without burning any bridges, especially depending on which one I decide not to take. I asked, and I was certainly blessed with multiple people in my life that I could ask for advice and feedback, asking my sister, close childhood friends, relatives, and other trusted professionals, and they gave me some great advice that enabled me to focus and make a decision that I'm at peace with. One additional note, one of my childhood buddies continually tells me to apply at the tech companies like Google because they are always looking for doctorates or doctorate degree holders for research and other related curriculum positions. And I've been telling them for years, yes, I'll do it. And I never just took the chance. But you know what? If I'm always every week talking to people and talking to you about doing different things, taking different chances and going places that are outside of your comfort zone, like I told my student, then I need to do that. So I definitely promise. I promised my brother on a worldwide audience, and I promised to him that those stones will be turned over this year. I will make sure that I do that. In the meantime, I also did research on deciding between two jobs, and I stumbled on this blog from July 2024 on a blog website called Try High Rise. So it's just like it says, all in one word, tryhighrise.com. And it was a blog by this guy, Andrew Langan. It says how to decide between two jobs. And there's 9 factors that he puts into place as far as how to decide between these two jobs. And luckily enough, a lot of the things that he put in there were things that a lot of people advised me on what to do. So let's go through these 9 factors, because I even told my second chance clients, this will happen to you. You'll be faced with 2 great options and only have the opportunity to choose one of them. And let's go through these 9 factors that Andrew shared with us. Number 1 was work-life balance. Work-life balance definitely, and I can tell you right now, has an impact on your personal life and your mental health. So really, before thinking about and accepting a job offer, think about how it connects to what you need and what you want. Really take into account where the job offer is located, how far you have to commute, the cost of that commute, and how the location of the job suits your personal life or preferences and how you want to get from one place to another. Consider whether it's feasible to relocate to a new place. Now, that's not the case for me. I don't have to relocate, but certainly sometimes those job offers may come into play, especially if I fulfill my promise to my brother about looking at the tech companies. Number 2, look at the salary and the benefits. When you have 2 job offers, salary and benefits may be the most important thing to you, especially if you're thinking about inflation, student loans, funding your own business, taking care of family, raising kids, or different other criteria. One of my friends told me, he goes, it's really good to follow your purpose, but we're not in the mood of being poor or struggling in poverty. And I'm certainly not struggling. The reality of all of us here in the United States are feeling, and I'm quite sure worldwide, is things are costing more and you're getting less and paying more for them, no matter what it is. So I would examine all the aspects of the compensation and the benefits in addition to your salary. Look at the health insurance. How much does it cost? What does the paid time off look like? Are you working remote? Are you working in person, like you're commuting? And are you looking at this particular opportunity for any professional advancement? I always tell my students, and I certainly had to think about this, and I saw this in Andrew's blog, that when you focus solely on salary, you might miss other aspects of a new role that excite you. And you could end up in a job that the culture's not good, or you might get burned out, or you may not like what's going on around you. But certainly, I would definitely say compensation, salary, and benefits are certainly serious considerations to take into play. And speaking of company culture, that goes into number three, company culture. We've talked about this in previous episodes. I've talked about workplace bullying. I've talked about different things that happen at work. And to the extent that you can, when you're choosing an offer to accept, the company culture is crucial. There was somebody that I didn't even get along with at the college now. And one of her biggest advices was that you can't fight against negative culture, which was funny because she's one of the purveyors of negative culture. But I guess in a moment of sympathy or a moment of conscience, she shared that bit of advice with me, and I never forgot that. But you want to ensure that you're excited and you're really joyful about going to work every day, because a strong culture fit with you is something that's really personal. Only you could decide that. And to the extent that you can, you get an idea of what's going to be like to work there. So you kind of know what to expect. Always research both options as far as company culture is concerned. See how what they do and how you fit in that, and how each business or place or a professional organization can fit with your work style and your needs. Number four, look at the employer reputation, including paying attention to it during the interview process. A company's reputation really could affect your job security. Of course, job security is important to a lot of us, and certainly any future career prospects that you may have there or elsewhere. So it's important to do our due diligence. There's a lot of research out there about a lot of companies that we could find out, what's going on about the company's reputation. And, certainly you could do this by listening and spending time and paying attention to how did they conduct the interviews. Did you notice or hear any red flags in the interviews? Look at the company's history and look at its growth and stability. Look at the industry that it's in. Look at employee reviews on platforms like Glassdoor or other social media websites. Look at what the trends are as far as what people are saying. And review the industry position to evaluate the company standing in the sector. Make sure that they are solid and they are stable as far as where they're at in comparison to their competition. Number five, you also want to look at the job responsibilities. Make sure that the positions and the job responsibilities really match your interests, your skills, your purpose. Some companies really don't fully clarify the job during the interview process, and that in itself is a potential red flag. One of the jobs, even though I still was attracted to it, a red flag, which could be a little bit red flag or a big red flag, one of the interviewers indicated to me, said, I looked at your resume, Richard, and it looked like you really like a lot of structure. This is a place that doesn't have a lot of structure. Now, initially, that caused a red flag for me when I listened to what he said. But during the course of the interview, it kept on. I could see that the structure wasn't because of the company or the organization didn't have structure, but I think that the initiatives that they were doing that I would be hired for was something new, and they were still trying to figure out how that would go into what it is that they were doing, and really trying to build the dynamic and the consistency through people that they were looking to hire. That could be a red flag for some. It didn't particularly be a red flag for me, but initially when he said, you like structure, but this is not structure, that kind of got my attention. And then, but as we continued and through the questions I asked and through the dynamic we talked about, it really helped me understand, okay, put it in context what that phrase was or what he was saying to me. Number six, personal and professional development opportunities. Certainly, you might be interested in growing in the company, in the sector. Look and see how the company's committed to your personal and professional growth, and how does that align with what it is that you want. Number seven, one of my childhood friends definitely told me this. Write a pros and cons list. Divide a paper into 2 columns and write the pros and cons. Give a detailed list, write down a detailed list of what you know about each job offer, and break down the pros and cons for every position systematically, depending on what it is that's important to you. And really think carefully about the factors you want to use to determine what's best for you. Don't try to talk yourself into one or another. Just honestly just say this is a pro and this is a con. And spend time thinking about your core values and what's important to you. And then look at the pros and cons list again and say, is there anything I'm struggling with, or is there anything that I'm drawn to in particular, good or bad? Number 8, we talked about this already before, the company's stability and growth potential. As a rule of thumb, always make it a point to research, to the extent that you can, a company or organization's financial health. A stable company with positive growth trajectory really offers better job security and future advancement opportunities. Simple and plain. If a company's going to be around, an organization's going to be around, the growth potential will be there. Number 9, last thing, a SWOT analysis. So those of us who have been in business school or definitely have taken organizational behavior classes, one of the first things that we talk about is doing a SWOT analysis, an SWOT analysis. That means to evaluate the companies or organizations or situations' strengths, which is S, W, which is weaknesses, O for opportunities, and T for threats. And so really, the strengths are going to identify the unique benefits of every position. All the things that you're taking into play. Work environment, culture, benefits, salary, benefits, all that other stuff. And then you'll look at your weaknesses. What are the drawbacks of each offer? What's going on that you don't like? And then opportunities. How much each offer will impact your growth and chances of a career. Where will you be in 5 years? Will you still be at this place in 5 years? Do you still want to be in this place in 5 years? Look at the opportunities to learn and personal and professional development, and see what other benefits or other things that have pluses regarding the company. And T, your threats. Notice any external factors that may affect how you see the job in a negative fashion. So with all that, I won't sit there and really talk about which job offer that I'm going to take, because like I said, one is unofficial. I haven't been offered one yet. But I'm definitely going to consider all the things that I said, all the great advice that I got, and I'm going to consider my gut feeling, what I feel right inside here, and what are my priorities, what are my attitudes, beliefs, and values that I really want to look at as far as making the decision of where I want to be and where I want to spend my time. Because as I get older, and I think hopefully more mature, and certainly you do too on your reentry journey, where does it that you want to spend your time? I really value and really put value on where I spend my time as well. And just not think that when we're younger and have all the time in the world and you could waste your time. But I'll get to the point, and certainly I'll update you on it at some point, when it's final, that I'll have to decline one of these offers. And I want to decline, and if I decline one of these offers, I certainly want to decline it without burning any bridges. So I have to really think about how I'd want to go about it. But eventually I will have to make a decision, But number one, I want to take the time as much as possible to allow and let them know that I need the time to make an informed decision. And then eventually I'll have to tell which company I've chosen to say, okay, if I choose to stay at the airport, or if I choose to go into the criminal justice reentry space, and then whichever one I don't choose, let them know that. But certainly the one that I don't choose, I know and if you find yourself in this position along your reentry journey, the company that you don't choose, no matter what situation you're in, tell them that you really appreciate their offer and the time they took during the selection process. And to the extent that you're comfortable and want to say these are the decisions and these are the factors that came into play as far as why I made this decision. So you always part ways on good terms, because you never know that you may have the door may be open for future endeavors. You may come back and have to sit there and face them again, or they may have another opportunity later on down the line that may think that could fit into what it is that you want to do. I don't know how that will be with me, but certainly that possibility is always there. I want to certainly, that almost closes up what we got going on this week. But before, not only are we closing the episode, but we're closing the month here at Second Chance Coaching. So I want to share some of our stats with you. Um, Certainly, I always extend and give shout outs to our Second Chance family. So, for the month of January, our top three states that have listened to Second Chance Coaching: North Carolina, Tennessee, and where I'm based in Florida. North Carolina, I'm quite sure my sister's driving those radios. She's listening intently as far as what it is that I say. So I love you, sis. Thank you for that. Thank you to the Second Chance family in Tennessee and in Florida. Thank you as well. Certainly want to shout out those who are listening to Second Chance Coaching outside the United States. So certainly a big shout out to our people in Switzerland, in Japan, in France, in Canada, and the Ukraine, and the United Arab Emirates. One of the other things that I looked at as far as places, as far as the statistics that the platform shares with me, I wanted to look and see where mostly people were listening at Second Chance Coaching. For the most part, Apple Podcasts, usually people always listen on Apple Podcasts, but this month, most people listened on Spotify. So those on Spotify, thank you. And thank you as always, also on Apple Podcasts for you guys are listening. And the other thing I looked at what were my top five most downloaded episodes, this month. And I looked at the statistics. Our episode that we did last week, A Lesson in Persuasive Speaking, that was really, really received well. Thank you for that. The second most downloaded this month was our episode when we did Preparing for and Being Excellent in the Job Interview. That was from December 11th of 2024. Really, really good. Um, the third most downloaded this month was Staying Motivated Through the Reentry Journey. That was from last year, early last year, March 13th, 2024. Another recent episode from 2 weeks ago. I wish I knew then what I know now. Definitely very well received, and thank you. And our fifth most downloaded was Starting a Business, and that was a episode that we did on November 30th, 2023. So that was really well received. So I like, looking at some of these statistics and sharing these stats with you. I really enjoy sharing these stats with you and sharing this time with you. As always, I say it's my favorite time of the week. One of my favorite times of the week, as far as going and sharing Second Chance Coaching with you and sharing these stories and tips and stories and strategies with you and each other. So certainly I'll keep you updated on the condo stuff. I'll keep you updated on these job offers and see which one that I go and where I go. But once again, I want to thank you for always sharing your time with me. Thank you for continuing to spread Second Chance Coaching to your friends, family, and loved ones. Thank you again for joining us. And I look forward to spending more time with you again next week. Thank you again for joining us here at Second Chance Coaching. In addition to coaching services for individuals and businesses, I'm also available for speaking engagements and workshops on criminal justice reentry, human resources, as well as organizational culture and leadership. Feel free to email me at richard@secondchancecoaching.com, as well as connect with me on Instagram at @DrRichardLewis. Remember, every day you are given this opportunity for your second chance, and I know you'll make the best of it. I love you all, and I look forward to connecting with you next time here at Second Chance Coaching.